Welcome, friends, to We Shall Be Known, the Animist Storytelling Archive brought to you by Web of Life Animist Church. My name is Quinn Red Mountain, and I am pleased to be the co-host along with Dove for this project. Our first episode, our first organic conversation, is with the eldest ordained minister with Web of Life Church, and her name is Sandy. And she is in her early 80s. She felt called to share with me what is important to her about aging at the phase of aging that she is. And I hope you are inspired and learned something from this elder like I have over the years. Here we go.
I am very surprised. I really thought that when I would be in my 80s, things would be stabilized and just stay that way until I died. That's what I thought when I was younger, okay? What I'm finding is that my 80s have a definite change, or I'm learning new things about myself, and I'm having to have new behaviors put into place. And what's important to me is that those behaviors in that time is productive, but productive according to what I can do, rather than what I thought I used to do. You know, I'm not trying to recreate my old productive years in my, 60s or 50s or anything like that. I wanted to be productive the way I am in my 80s, but still productive and still have something of value. But it'll be different, and it won't be trying to recreate what I was. It's a whole new beginning, and I'm really surprised at that. I didn't think that was going to happen. I thought I was just going to hit 80s and I was going to kind of stay on that path, and that's who I was, and then I was going to die. But I'm going through a lot of transformation right now with my 80s. And I like it. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes. And it's good to hear from someone in their mid-50s. I always like talking to you because you are, in a way, I kind of think of it as when I talk to you, I'm talking to a version of my future self, because we resonate in a lot of ways about us in the world and what we do, right? And so it's really powerful to have someone, quote, your age that can talk to me and reflect for me too in ways that are helpful, so that maybe then I won't be surprised if I am graced to get to that age.
Yeah.
And you told me that the page that you have just started that's been created because of this transformation is called Aging Gratefully.
Yes.
Is that correct? So tell
Yes.
me a little bit about that, especially the gratefully part.
I'm feeling blessed in a way. So my aging has, I'm having gratitude about it now, rather than being afraid of it or trying to stop it or any of the things that tended to be the way it was for people that I knew who, got older. They were just constantly, oh, I can't do this anymore, or complaining about that, or well, that's over, or it's like it was always in a negative kind of a bent. So aging gratefully means, oh, thank goodness I can do this now. I am this person now. I thank goodness that oh my gosh, I'm so appreciative of life right now. Now, sometimes it feels like maybe I'm diminishing in my brain or something. And so I'm just becoming more youthful, young like little kid, yee, good, oh, fun. And it's like I laugh all the time. And it's almost as though there's I just wanted to cry when I say it, but there's a joy that seems to be coming through me that I have never, ever experienced fully before. I've experienced it in little bits, but I have never experienced it continuously like I am now. And I don't know if that's going to happen to everybody, but it's happening for me. And so that's what I'm experiencing. Wow. Joy, a lot of joy. And personally, when I think about it, if I figure it out, I think, that's what our second life is going to be. Our next life is going to be, it's going to be living in more joy. And, we came here, we call it Earth School. We've been here, we learned a lot of stuff, I'm looking at 2 to 3 generations beneath me, not even your generation, but a couple more. And I think there is something happening with those generations that are going to make a huge difference in the future, which I'll never see. So that gives me encouragement, and I really think it's important to hold the world right now as it is in, I don't know what the words would be. What would it be? Really knowing that it's a beautiful, wonderful world, and that we can be together in all our diversity as much as we possibly can. But our history has taught us that we had to be more separate from each other. So we're really going through a transition in the world, and it's worldwide, and I can feel it. But it isn't over, and I talk to people about this, and then they go, oh yeah, but this is bad and that's bad. Well, yeah, we'll never get there. I don't think that's true. I really have a feeling that we are progressing in a path that will get us there, and it might take 200 years more. And also that they're finding out all kinds of things. Actually, the world is expanding in its knowledge. I am thrilled with what's happening. I think
that is definitely something in your lifetime you have lived and witnessed, is the accessibility of knowledge as a woman, as a person, as a human being, even just the being able to access books and the equivalent of digital books now, and information. I do think about that for young ones who don't know it was anything different.
that's
Right?
right.
That they
Yeah.
don't know that you maybe had to walk 10 miles or whatever to get a book, or that you weren't allowed to have a book depending on who you were. If you had a book, bad things happened, right? If you knew how to read. So
Well, that wasn't true in my case, but
no,
I
but
know
not
that was true in the
honestly,
world.
not that far before, and
Not
not in your
not
case,
that
but
far.
in your childhood, that was true for various people.
I do tell
So
people that sometimes, that when I went to my high school library once, I wanted to read Gone with the Wind, and I couldn't find it in the library, in the high school library. And I asked the guy who was the librarian at the time, and he said, oh yeah, we've had to have that one locked up because of the,
oh yeah.
frankly,
Yeah.
my dear, I don't give a damn. That was the only reason. I mean,
Oh,
that was
that was
just
the reason?
insane. I, I,
Wow.
I think that was the reason.
Yeah. Well, that's
Yeah.
coming back. That
But he
energy
gave
is,
it to me. He
oh, he
gave it
did?
to me.
Oh,
And
that's
and
good.
I would read sitting on the stairs in between classes. I would read that book.
Mm. So you were
Yeah.
reading kind of banned books.
I was reading a banned book.
The young ones are now in the same position of having to find books or sources that they can't find in their libraries now at school. Because,
I'm sure
yeah,
that's true.
yeah,
Yes.
that's an active truth right now. So what is something that you feel that you would like to pass along to either someone younger, or maybe someone who it seems to like maybe they're a sensitive person, an intuitive person, someone who maybe doesn't fit in the cog of the system? Because I know a little bit about you. That's kind of who you have been in your life, and you've had success and you've had challenge. What comes to you about if someone were to be with you and you wanted to give them a little bit of a pep talk or advice?
Part of that depends on how old that person is. I would probably have a conversation with somebody in their 50s that would be different than somebody in their 60s or early 70s. What I would like to say is, it's an old one, but it's keep on trucking. We used to say that a lot, but keep on trucking, because the fact of the matter is you will emerge as long as you continue to move forward in your own life in certain ways where you're looking at yourself and then modifying your behavior or modifying your belief system for the good. I would call it the good. You will get to a point where a lot more will be clear to you, and you won't have to do that kind of work anymore. And I believe that once we get to that point, and I think this is how our elders used to be in the old tribal days, is that they would get to that point. They weren't like proactive in activities any longer or growing and changing. as much as they were there keeping the other people on their path somehow. That yes, this way, if you go down that road, this might happen. But if you continue on this road, I promise there's a sunrise over there or something like that.
That's a
Or
powerful role.
encouraging others that it will be all right, even though you may be going through difficulties now. Eventually, those will not just smooth out and be gone, but you will have overcome it. You will have changed. We actually are evolving as we're alive.
Hopefully, yes.
Yeah,
You saying that to someone in their 50s, and let's say early 50s, that's 30 years younger than you, right? That's
right.
like how old I am, 30
Yeah.
years. So between my age and your age, 30 years, or someone in their just turned 50 that who might be feeling old and like, oh, it's all over for me, right? My youth is gone, right? Because a lot of people when they hit that age tend to have feelings like that, or even 60. It depends on when someone might feel it. To have that kind of advice from you
Right.
is at 30 years older. So like for me, where I am, 30 years is some people in their 20s. So it's
Right.
quite a big, right? A jump. I was kind of thinking you were going to say to someone younger. For you, younger is like 50. Wow. Okay. So
That's
I
right.
was
Well,
listening to
50s,
you.
every decade has its own strength. And in
Mm,
your 50s, it's a wonderful decade. So that's another thing that I think our society tends to do, particularly women will tend to do, is that they will dismiss where they were when they get to someplace else. And they'll think that, you know what I mean?
yep.
But your 50s has, value and taste and just wonderful things that are available to you that is well worth appreciating. And I appreciate it. And I appreciate that I did what I did in my 50s and then in my 60s and then in my 70s and now in my 80s.
Now in your 80s. Wow.
Yeah. And for me, it's been decades. Each decade brings gifts. Now, I do want to use my little analogy that I've used many times, and I'd like to have it be recorded so that we'll have it. But to me, I have always looked at the idea that it's like the difference between driving your car, which might be in your 20s, 30s, 40s, and riding a bicycle. So driving the car, everything's going by you pretty fast, but you get to where you want and you got a destination and you get there and everything's going by pretty fast, but you can see out in the distance. There's a place out there. So then the next one would be riding a bicycle. And if you're riding the bicycle, you get to see a little bit more. You have a little more fresh air around you. It's more athletic. It's kind of like you're kind of on your own in a different way, riding a bicycle. And the last one would be walking. And when you're walking, you can see the details.
Slowing down, but you see way
see the
more
little
detail.
plants,
Yeah.
you see more things. You're just like not as driven. And yet you're still moving. It's only because every step you take is unique. And there's always something more to see.
I can totally see you in that of like every few steps, Sandy's like, ooh, look at that. That's beautiful.
Yeah, look at that rock over there. Oh, look at this little
let's pick up that little thing and carry it a while and move it.
Right.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I like
and you
that.
see little ants going by, and things like that. Now, I do remember as a child that I was in the now almost all the time as a child. And watching ants was one of my favorite things to do. And looking at the clouds was one of my favorite things to do.
Down and up. Yep. Portals, both of them, for sure.
So I think that's one of the ways that when we identify with elders, we say they become more childish. And it's a negative thing, and it has been a negative thing for a long time. And I understand that intellectually maybe or whatever, but it's because I think we're living in the now more easily like we did when we were 3 to 5. So for me, it's all about getting ready to go next. Go to the next level. Go to the next place. And shedding, there's a really good feeling of shedding a lot of things, and it's almost as though my light inside is starting to come out.
Oh, it's out. I can sure see it. And I think people can hear it in your voice too.
You think so? Yeah.
I do. Yes, I've
Yeah.
always thought that. And now
Well,
you're even older and wiser and more in the now than when I first met you.
and part of that is because I'm an extrovert and always have been an extrovert, and that's an advantage and a blessing that I received in this world, which got me in a lot of trouble when I was younger. Lots and lots of trouble. I can tell you stories about all that. But being an extrovert, I believe not everybody has to be an extrovert, and obviously they aren't. But I believe we all have a gift that comes out even stronger when you get older. And part of my being an extrovert isn't so much egoistic anymore. I have the ability to connect with people. I talk to children in the grocery store, I see old ladies sitting alone. I reach out to people. But that's who I am. That's not just because I'm aging. That comes from this
Yeah, you having that
extroversion.
ability. Yeah.
Right.
And there is a freeing, I think, aging of the different role in society
Yeah.
as an elder. I'm start feeling the beginnings of that. Like I'm not in my 20s or 30s anymore. Like I can act differently
Mm-hmm.
and it will be responded to differently. Right?
Exactly.
So to play with that to see, well, then I don't have to keep acting like I used to, that maybe I could be different because society sees me differently. And so it's an interesting way to recreate oneself, anything that wants to be recreated. And I think it's helpful to hear from people, especially women who are in it and who are grateful about it. I think you're so right about it being a key. That is it a burden and horrible, or is it like, wow, I'm so grateful to still be here and to be able to be in this time in my life with all of you. That creates a whole different energy as well, even the gratefulness.
Yeah, there is a caveat to that.
Mm-hmm.
And your physical diminishment is a part of it. So many people, and I know many people my age, are even more active than I am and continue to be active. And they go to, classes, and they swim, and they do things that keep their body active, but they're not trying to recapture their youth. So it's appropriate to your ability and appropriate to your body and appropriate to your nature, but it has to be done, because if you don't do it, you will not be a happy camper.
Yeah, my mother, who's 78, says you move it or you lose it. Mm-hmm.
That's right. So you do move it or you lose it, but the thing is, you don't have to move it like you did when you were 50.
Yes.
You move it in a different way that's appropriate to your age, but you're still moving. All I can say is it feels like I'm moving towards spirit. That once I get, my body is going to shed, and then spirit is going to be there. And I don't know, I'm kind of looking forward to it. And then I get really scared.
Yeah, don't think about it too much. Be here now.
Be here now
Yeah,
is
be
what
here
it
now.
is. And I think that scared is inbred in us
Mm.
for a good reason.
Well, maybe it's a combo of fear and like awe or like that, oh, it's all so unknown, the unknown is scary, but it's also a little exciting, scary, exciting, scary.
I think it will. I think it
Yeah.
will.
Well,
It'll
that in
be
itself is
interesting.
such an important message for our times in this culture that has been taught to fear it beyond everything, like to do everything to make it not happen. The moving out of the body into
Right.
spirit. Yeah.
Right.
Hmm.
That's it. And
So
and
that's
so
an important message.
I think it's a very important message, and I don't have it all clear for myself yet either, because I mean, I was raised in United States of America, where everything is like, keep on going and do and do. And it's okay. But I do see that happening. And sometimes I get a taste of it being all right. And then this other thing falls down and says, oh God, aren't
Hmm.
you scared? Or you don't really want to die, do you? It's
Well,
a
I think that fear will melt into the joy of it all when it's the right time. Well, I am incredibly grateful to have had the pleasure of knowing you so far, and I look forward to more adventures and learning from you more. And thank you so much for talking to me right now in this now.
Giving you blessings, my dear.
Thank you
Always
so
have.
much. Thank you for your time and ear and for connecting with us through this episode of We Shall Be Known. It has been a pleasure to share and become a part of this living archive through this episode. Before we go, please know that we appreciate you wherever you are, whoever you are. If you are different, you are beautiful and loved. And if you would like to contribute a future episode to We Shall Be Known or participate in some way, do please reach out to us. We shall be known at gmail.com. Have a blessed day.